Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. So we are on chapter 9. Today we'll be doing verse 32. And this is like a little bit controversial verse. From Gita perspective, it's not. It's giving you a message, but some people could take it wrong. So we'll see why and all that. And just to recap what we did last week, verse 31, that Bhagavan was talking about that 31 was connected with 30. And in 30, he had said that even if somebody is durachari, unrighteous person, has done a lot of bad things, wo bhi agar, decide kar le to attain Bhagavan, and he has a single pointedness, and so we should regard him as righteous only because he's rightly resolved. Agar ek thaan liya kisi ne karne ke liye, so we should. And then the verse 31 that we saw last week, how does it happen? Because then he slowly changes and then he attains eternal peace, and then Krishna Bhagavan gave a very big promise. He said, my devotee is never destroyed. And he wants everybody, all of us, to tell the whole world about it. So that's what we saw. So now the verse that we are doing, 32, all these are connected with each other, obviously. 32 is very heavily connected with 33. So these two has to be taken together. And then we take it in the right context, we'll completely understand what Bhagavan is saying. So here is a verse. Mam hi patvapashit shritya yepi syu papayonayah striyo veshyastata shudraha tepi yantim param gatim. Mam is me. So when he's talking about me, obviously that Brahman. He is indeed. Partha is addressing Arjuna. Vyapashritya, taking refuge in. Ye, who, api, even. Syuhu, maybe. So the language he's using is maybe, and we'll see why. Papa yonayaha, of sinful or inferior birth. So this could be, people, animals, and some other people who are like in a low mental state and all that kind of thing. Striyaha, women. Vyashyaha, here they mean like the caste mein jo hai, varna vyavastha, sorry, I don't even like to use the word caste. Varna vyavastha mein jo vaishya, business people, unke liye kaha hai. Tatha also shudraha, shudras we'll see. They api also yanti, attain, param, the supreme, gatim is goal. So he's addressing several different people, and we'll see how and why. So this verse is, Bhagwan is saying to encourage Arjun. Arey, tu bhi kar sakta hai. Like that. Tere ko to koi problem hi nahi hona chahiye. You are so privileged. That's where you have to think that why Bhagwan said all these things. He's giving a contrast. He's trying to tell Arjuna, hey, you are a prince, you are so privileged, you have a great mind, you have everything going for you. Why you can't do it? For you, it should be so easy. So keep that thought in mind. So, and then he would, compared to that, even people who have some disadvantage can reach me. Because पहले उन्होंने पहले बोल दिया कि जो एकदम दुराचारी हो, जो एकदम गया गुजरा हो, जिसने बहुत सारे गलत काम किए, वो भी पहुंच सकता है. And then he's giving some other scenario, because दुराचारी क्या होता है, कौन होता है, conduct से होता है दुराचारी, right? और ये वाला जो verse है, he's addressing to the state of mind. That mind may be कुछ गड़बड़, अगर if you are born with certain tendencies which may be considered not so great in sadhana, in doing the spiritual practices, that type of situation he's addressing. So we saw that the previous verse is very, very important, And then he's saying that by taking refuge in me, even those people who are duracharis, they attain the highest. So then here he talks about 4 different situations. So it depends now. There are different Swami's approach is slightly different, and both have some value in it. One, when he said Papa Yoni, you can say that this is an adjective for, Striya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And another one says the Papa Yoni, when he talked about, people who are born lower than human beings. So it could be animals and all that. So whichever one you want to take is fine. So, and then he mentioned women. So why did he say women? Here somebody might, जो लोग क्या बोलते हैं वो feminist होते हैं वो अपना झंडा लेके खड़े हो जाएंगे बोलेंगे Krishna Bhagavan is saying women are inferior. Not saying from that angle, okay? So why he said? Because the certain feminine qualities are attributed more to like attachment. Mamta, we call it. On one hand, we say mamta is such a great thing, and मुझे अपने बच्चों में mamta है. But from the adhyatmic standpoint, mamta is a hurdle. Too much attachment to your home and your children and your possessions is a hurdle, right? So from that perspective, and we know that between men and women tend to have more attachment because obviously they are doing everything at home, so you get more attached. So keep it from that perspective. So that's why Bhagavan said Striya means they have a certain disadvantage. And historically speaking, it was there, the disadvantage. Now, so much more freedom is there, which is great. And, we should progress and all that. But even in America, the women couldn't vote and God knows the jobs were not given to them and we know all that. So it's a social truth that it happened in the history. Now it's getting better. And there are psychological issues also. So keep that in mind. And then why did he say Vaishyas, the traders? Because they're business-minded people. Business mind is great in the world to earn money and all that. But adhyatma में उसका ज़्यादा value नहीं होता कि because लेना देना अगर करना शुरू कर दिया कि मुझे कितना मिला फिर मैं उतनी पूजा करूँगी मैंने माला की 108 बार और मुझे मिला नहीं तो I'm going to do it half now or whatever. I'm not going to do it. Whatever. You can think it. So that's what business-minded people doesn't work in if you have too much of that kind of lena dena type of business mind. Then Shudras, we know that too much tamas, because we have to go back to now the chapter 4 where Bhagwan had categorized the human beings in 4 different categories depending on which guna. We are talking about 3 gunas now, sattva, tamas and rajas. Which guna is more predominant in someone? So if you have a too much tamas, again, you have a disadvantage. You won't be able to sit in meditation. You won't be able to think higher and all that. So these categories we saw, and this division of just to kind of remind ourselves the proportion so that we don't misunderstand everything. Brahmanas are supposed to be predominantly sattvic, and these categories were according to guna and karma. Means how your mind is, texture of your mind is, and how you do action. Action is always preceded by your thoughts. So what is the texture of your thoughts? If it is more sattvic, then you are Brahmin. And if it is good amount of sattva and some good amount of rajasik, then you are Kshatriya, because you need action, you need to do. And then if you are rajasik and tamasic and have a little bit extra tamas also, Vaishya, and predominantly tamasic is Shudra. So that was just to remind ourselves. And then another point that Nikhilanandji brought out was also important, that in Sanskrit language, certain qualities are expressed as feminine and certain qualities masculine, right? So when they're talking about Striya, you have to think of that angle from. And then also certain other terms scriptures use, they have a certain connotation. It's like today's slang language. Sometimes our children or our grandchildren might say some word and we say, why are you saying that? And they say, no, I mean this, And then they have their own lingo that they just use some word and we are supposed to know it, and we learn from that. Like I learned the word FOMO. They used to say, I don't know how many of you have heard of FOMO. you know. I said, what is this? You have, right? I said, what is this FOMO? So they explained to me, fear of missing out. Because they look at each other's profiles on Facebook and LinkedIn or whatever and say, oh, everybody's having a great time and I'm just a loser, because I'm not having a party, I'm not going for this vacation. Everybody puts their best front in there, and लगता है सभी की life तो इतनी अच्छी है, मेरी नहीं है. So this new generation, is having that problem. FOMO, they say. Okay, now I understand. Now they say FOMO, I fully understand. Now I started using it too. Why you are having a FOMO? I asked them. So same way, Krishna Bhagwan used the word balaha. Balaha means children. And if you look at that verse, it sounded as a negative connotation. But what he was trying to say over there is, when he said little children, and in the context that he used, I think it was a chapter 4 or 5th chapter he used. He said that little children think like that when he was talking about Sankhya and yoga and all. What he meant by that word is that, spiritual understanding is low. Usko unhone bala bola hai, immature understanding. So it doesn't mean that he was trying to say anything against the children. So that's how think about it. So the same way, I think that इसमें सबसे बड़ा objection ये स्त्रिया के लिए हो सकता है लोगों के. Why did भगवान से स्त्रिया have a disadvantage? I told you, सब feminist झंडा लेके खड़े हो जाएंगे. So because of attachment, that attachment is, we have to drop our attachment, and by nature women have more attachment. That's why. And then we discussed that commercial attitude, mera kya hoga, lena dena and all that, and then things like that. So now that you understood, and then what about little extra thing we need to know about Shudras is they don't have the ability to think independently. Because why they call them? Because too much tamas, they don't use their intellect too much, and just tell me what to do. I don't know what to do, right? Like a labor class, okay, repetitive work and all that, and they get good at it. What they can do, we are not able to do, So that's how we have to see that. But these things are negative in spiritual attainment. So what Bhagwan is saying, maybe if some people are like that, he used the word maybe, syuhu word here. If they surrender to me also, they can also get, attain realization. Now, Arjuna did not have this disadvantage, right? He was a Kshatriya. Kshatriya mein to bahut hota hai sab kuch, valor and, kind of a lot of sattva is there too. So, फिर तेरे को क्या problem है? Why you, that's what he was trying to say. Like we tell our children, most of the time we tell them, no, in America you are so privileged. हम लोग को तो ये सब, अगर वहाँ पर, even if you were well off, we were not given that much privilege. Right? So that's what it is. So that's exactly what the whole idea is over here. So, and then a couple of very nice points that Nikhilanandji brought out. That's that, this path of bhakti versus rituals. So, Vedon mein, like, karma kand bahut hai, 80% of it, because Vedas, people realize, the Rishi Muni, that people have desires. But they say, okay, you can fulfill your desire, whatever you want. स्वर्ग जाना है, उसकी भी रेमेडी है. ये दुनिया में तुमको धन दौलत ये सब चाहिए, worldly thing, उसकी भी रेमेडी है. तो उसके लिए ये रिचुअल करना पड़ेगा, right? So these rituals are there, but they have a lot of restrictions. कौन कर सकता है, कौन नहीं कर सकता है, किस टाइम पे करना चाहिए. It's like a scientific thing. We may not understand everything, but there are lots of rules and regulations. So there are restrictions about it, right? One second. And but proper qualification is required to do this ritual. That's how we have to see that, whether it is Swargalok Prapti, Brahmalok Prapti, any particular kind of result have restrictions, you need qualifications and all that. And then he was just saying that even in the world, we have discussed it. कोई जॉब चाहिए तो इतना लंबा रेज्यूमे बनाना पड़ता है, फिर वो चेक करेगा, फिर ये वो एप्लीकेशन इन द कॉलेज, यू नीड क्वालिफिकेशन. दुनिया में भी सब क्वालिफिकेशन चाहिए. ही इज सेइंग बट टू अटेन गॉड अकॉर्डिंग टू कृष्ण भगवान, नो क्वालिफिकेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड. द ओनली थिंग यू रिक्वायर्ड इज रिजॉल्व दैट मुझे ये चाहिए, सो दैट्स द ब्यूटी ऑफ इट. व्हाई? Because God is in everybody and it's same in everyone. So there is a scientific reason also, because there is God resides in all of us. All of us have access to it. There might be different layers on it of dirt in our mind, but it can be removed if you take a good result. So that's how we have to approach this. And then he was just saying that the beauty of this path is that open to everybody, no special thing. And then he was just saying that when they talked about in this verse about some are papiyonaya, means, people born maybe as animals, if you want to take that approach. So he was just saying that in Ramayana, there are animals which attain the Sadgati. We know Jatayu, right? Jatayu, Krishna Bhagwan ki god mein uski pran nikle, and he attained the Sadgati. And then there are, even Hanuman ji was born in as a monkey. And he says that in Ramayana, I'm born in this, but then he attained the highest. So even those people who have seemingly a disadvantage in this path, they can still attain. And then he was just saying in modern times, there are incidents like whoever know about Ramana Maharishi. It seems that he used to have a cow, and that cow, when it passed away, and the cow had a lot of human type of qualities and all that. I don't know too much detail about it, but I've heard about it, that Ramana Maharshi said that usko sadgati mil gayi, And then another incident that Nikhilanand ji was talking about, कि कोई भी सत्संग होता था ना एक particular साधु का, तो एक कुत्ता आके बैठ जाता था वहाँ पे और बड़ा ध्यान से सुनता था, तो सभी उसको कुत्ता को भी साधु बोलने लगे कि ये भी कोई पिछले जन्म का साधु है, right? So those incidents are there. तो पाप योनि को भी मिल सकता है. And then another 2-3 very interesting point he said, which I thought was very, very nice what he said. He said कि it is something like this. Why no qualification is required to attain Bhagwan? He's saying अपना घर में जाना हो ना, उसके लिए कोई qualification नहीं चाहिए, कोई special चीज नहीं है. We all can enter our home. Even अपने माता पिता के घर में जाना हो, we can go barge in over there without anything, and you don't need to call them and things like that. They will welcome you with open arms. They'll be so happy to see you. So he's saying that's what it is. That is just like अपने घर में जाने के लिए कुछ नहीं चाहिए, किसी और के घर में जाना हो तो क्वालिफिकेशन चाहिए, या कोई निमंत्रण चाहिए. अपने घर में के लिए कुछ नहीं चाहिए, और अपने पेरेंट्स के घर में जाने के लिए भी कुछ नहीं चाहिए. मगर अगर यहाँ पर अगर किसी को प्रधानमंत्री को मिलना हो वर्ल्ड में, राष्ट्रपति को, तो कितना यू हैव टू क्लियर आंसर, फलाना ढिकड़ा एंड ऑल दैट. So that was a very nice point he said. Bhagwan is like our Pita, Mata, and we saw that how Krishna Bhagwan said. Very beautiful point he brought. So now this is what this verse is saying. In the next verse, Bhagwan will say, फिर अगर ये लोग को सब कुछ मिल सकता है, तो फिर तेरी तो बात ही क्या है? तुझे तो ऐसे फटाक से मिल जाना चाहिए, because what to talk about those people who have qualification, they do anyway can attain me. So that's what he's talking about. Any question or comment? Anybody want to add anything? And I hope I brought the right import out, what he was trying to say, Because there's a similar verse in Ramayana also that people talk about so much, that I'm sure that Meera ji knows about that verse. Dhol and Nari, and he put some kind of, uske liye kitne charcha hote. But you see, and when Swami ji ne itni lambi commentary likhi iske liye, because I'm sure they must have chewed him up about this. But so he thought about it and he approached it from every angle to tell you why. Why would Krishna Bhagwan put anybody down when he's saying most durachari can come to me? And it's nothing to do with the bodily, who you are, whether you're man, woman, kinnar, does not matter who you are, right? This is something to do with your mind. So he's not addressing the physical, that whether you are a man or a woman. That's not what it is. It's just certain qualities he was talking about. That, and there could be some men who have a lot of attachment, right? And there could be some women who are very vairagi. We know. So it's nothing to do with that. It's more, so that was the point. Any comment? I thought that you guys will be bringing up some points, but I guess. All right. So, Meeraji, ready for?
Yeah, sure. For taking refuge in me, they also, O Parth, who may be of a sinful birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Shudras, even they attain the supreme goal. As an annotation and an explanatory appendix to the immediately preceding pair of stanzas, here it is added that only those who are placed under wrong influences and unfavorable external conditions that are redeemed by the constant remembrance of the divine, but even those who are victims of congenital maladjustments, both in their mental makeup and in their intellectual constitution, can also get their equipments readjusted and tuned up properly by the same process of constant remembrance of the truth eternal.
So you see what what Swamiji is explaining, that this is a immediately preceding pair of stanzas, and I think it's also connected with the one which are coming. That's why and then he's talking about, previously he said that the people who are under wrong influences and unfavorable external condition, जो दुराचारी होते हैं ना, कभी कभी हम लोग ऐसा बोलते हैं ना कि some kids वो गलत संगत में पड़ गया, that's why he's doing, but he is a very good person, just he changes his ways, so their mind is good, but somehow the external forces became a durachari. So that was one set of people, and the other one who the mind में कुछ थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ है, उसको readjust कर लो. It's like a car, if you have whether a small problem or a very big problem, if you take it to the right mechanic, he'll fix your car. The same way, whether it is less, more, everything can be adjusted with the right tools and right things. That's how we have to look at this.
This stanza is an example of how traditional beliefs cloud the mind and make us unaware of the obvious and pervert our understanding to read some meanings that are not there in the scripture. At some period in the past, the healthy caste system started deteriorating, and it fell to become iron caskets to vivisect the community and disintegrate the harmonious growth of the society.
And nobody knows better than us Indians that caste system का क्या उन्होंने खिचड़ी बना के बुरा हाल किया, and one is trying to control the other, and they are using it for all kind of negative things, and हम लोग को बदनाम करने के लिए कि भाई इंडिया में कास्ट सिस्टम है, और उसका जो ओरिजिन था वही खत्म हो गया, राइट? Otherwise, caste system means just division of human beings' mind, and that is there whether you are in Timbuktu or you are in India or you are in America, does not matter, And then the other point is that all four types of people are needed in the society. Everybody cannot be pundits and visionary. काम कौन करेगा? Right? And everybody cannot be money minded, because then execution kaun karega, and then if you don't have money, then you cannot. So everybody has a role. That's a different topic, but here when he's talking about the mental makeup, that's what he's addressing. But he's saying that if we don't have that proper understanding, that's when the criticism comes, and the other thing, very important thing too in my mind, is we cannot take a verse by itself in Bhagavat Gita. Even that creates a havoc, because it's related. And then who Krishna Bhagavan is talking to is Arjuna. So he's not, so all those things it's right context is a very important thing. It's a subtle subject. And if we don't understand something, it is the words of God. We have to try. That's why we take help of the wise people who have pure mind, who can understand the import. We take their help to understand also. Otherwise, you'll just be criticizing and not getting anywhere.
Slowly, knowledge came to be the monopoly of a few, and religion came under the proprietorship of a section of the community. Soon this section unconsciously deteriorated to such an extent in their moral fiber and in their intellectual integrity that they soon started interpreting the scriptures to read into them a meaning that would fortress their prejudices and guarantee their monopoly forever. The majority of the existing commentaries echo this false interpretation that came into vogue then.
Even this we know very well, right? There were just certain group of people, they will interpret it and they will try to control people. Oh, ऐसा नहीं करोगे तो नरक में जाओगे, ये होगा, वो पता नहीं जो भी. Everybody has experience of different kinds. It's nonsense. So he's saying that it just deteriorated. And in chapter 4, Bhagwan already said that this knowledge that he gave to Arjuna was given earlier, Surya, and then the Surya gave it to Manu. He sold the whole hierarchy. But at some point it gets contaminated. It's a nature. So then it has to be reintroduced. That's why these saints and sages, unka bhi yahi role hai. If you see in the history, Guru Nanak Dev Ji came, Swami Narayan, all these other saints and sages, they come to fix something in the society because it started going in a lopsided direction. And they said, this is not what Bhagwan intended. So keep all that in mind when we are doing this.
Gita, the universal scripture, which addresses itself always not a community, nor the followers of any particular creed, but only man in general, cannot be considered as indulging in a secret intolerance to any section of the humanity. Even the preceding two stanzas clearly express the large-heartedness and the divine tolerance of the universal religion of Krishna, which proudly proclaimed that even the vicious and the men of dire evil ways can be redeemed by the divine baptism commended in the Gita.
So Swamiji,
recommended in the Gita.
In the Gita. So he's just telling you that Krishna Bhagwan is not going to first say durachari bhi kisi ko bhi unhone discriminate nahi kiya. But suddenly he's not going to discriminate from that angle. But these people are lower. So that's what he's just trying to tell us. कि उन्होंने already बोल दिया, so he cannot be saying that if I am understanding like that in a wrong way, it's my problem. Krishna Bhagwan is trying to say something else. That's what he's doing.
As a consistent textbook of scientific thought, the Lord could not have all of a sudden jerked himself off from the main line of thought that he was following so far, only to express his condemnation of certain sections of the society which together constitute at any given period of time and place the majority. Therefore, we will have to reject existing interpretations available in the vast commentaries and try to discover the original spirit in which Vyasa had expressed his ideas.
So I think Swamiji, I'm sure, had faced a lot of criticism about this, and he just, so many paragraphs he wrote to make us think, So he's saying that he has a one chain of thought, Krishna Bhagwan is not going to suddenly say, oh, no, these guys are inferior, Obviously, that's not what he's trying to do. So we all already kind of went over it, that what the real meaning is. But I think Swamiji is not keeping any stone unturned because he wants from every angle for people to understand the correct meaning of this.
No doubt there are expressions in the Vedas, in the Puranas, and in the Smritis which seemingly fall in line with the language of this stanza. To condemn women, traders, Vaisyas, and workers, Shudras, as individuals of inferior birth is equivalent to accepting that religion has an effective influence only upon a mere handful of the members of the society. This would be a denial of what Krishna had been hammering upon from the opening stanza onward. Therefore, we have to understand the true implications of his words as he uses them here.
So even on another angle, he said, that from the very beginning, and there's so many verses when Krishna Bhagwan said, there was a verse where he said that, sab mein Bhagwan dekho. A dog and a dog eater. The guy who even eats the dog. Itna unhone bol diya. And then we saw that later on it's going to come in which one is it? Chapter 12, I think, when he says Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam, that you cannot hate anyone. Otherwise, you cannot progress in spirituality. So here he's talking about so much equality. So again, we have to take it in the right context, because otherwise he's giving you all the arguments why Krishna Bhagwan is not going to put them down, because he thinks it is open for everybody. He's just trying to encourage, Arjuna. And we do that in the world also. Sometimes we say, no, like, कोई समझो बहुत लेजी है, तो हम लोग ऐसे नहीं बोलते हैं कि हाथ पांव तो इतने चल रहे हैं सभी, why you cannot do it? There are people जो लूले लंगड़े भी करते हैं. Does that mean that we are putting the lula langdas down? No, we're just trying to encourage them. That's how you have to take it.
Religion is not a technique of developing the physical body, nor is it an art to be fulfilled through the physical body. The condition and status of the physical body have nothing to do with the evolutionary progress which religion is pointing out through all its preachings. The spiritual practices contribute to the integration of the mind and intellect and to their progressive unfoldment until in their full ripeness they shed themselves off, leaving the spirit naked in all its divine glory. Thus, these terms, as used in this stanza, are to be understood as indicating some special qualities of the human mind and intellect manifested in varying degrees in different individuals at different times.
तो पूरी भूमिका बना दी उन्होंने, स्वामी जी ने, कि भाई when it comes to spiritual practices, it's something to do with the mind, nothing to do with the body. You can be anybody and you can have any shape, size, and then we have all the Puranic stories and all the historical accounts of, Ashtavakra, who was 8 limbs were all tera meda, but he was the greatest guy. So we know nothing to do with the body. And so that's why, here when he's talking about Striya and all, he cannot be talking about their body. Something more he's talking about. That's what he's trying to say.
The feminine minds, Striya, are those that have a larger share of the deep affections and blinding attachments.
Binding attachment, है ना? तुम्हारे में क्या लिखा है?
Blinding लिखा हुआ है.
अच्छा, so मेरे में binding attachment is the right word. मेरे में binding है, binding. Binding means it just holds you like a, attachment means what? It's like a unseen rope that holds you, right? So that's what it is, huh?
So too, there are people who have a commercial attitude in all their thoughts and actions and live in their mental life as traders, vaishyas, ever calculating the profits that would be accrued for all their psychological investments. Such a calculating mind, ever looking up to the profits that could be raised, is not the mental attitude in which it can easily evolve through the path of meditation. To surrender all fruits of actions is the secret of holding the mind still and make it live vitally the infinite, that is the content of a single present moment. Thus, when the science of spiritual development condemns the traders, it is only a denunciation of the particular commercial tendency of their mind. Psychological personalities that can fall under the group of traders cannot hope to progress to schedule on the path divine.
So we saw that, here it is like a business type of mind. एक कहावत है ना हिंदी में, नेकी कर और कुएं में डाल. सुना है ये कहावत? हाँ, वो इसीलिए कि बैठ के सोचो मत, मैंने इतना किया, मेरे को भगवान ने कुछ दिया नहीं. You cannot think like, even in the world, the moment we start thinking, मैं तो इतना करती हूँ, कोई मेरा करता नहीं है, it's a downfall only. Right? So you just do your job, don't worry about the result. That's what Bhagwan said. Do your duty, don't worry about the result. So if that's what he's saying, that's why he mentioned, the Vaishya pravrutti, like mujhe kya milega kind of thing. It doesn't work in the spiritual advancement.
Lastly, mental attitudes of slumber and slothfulness are that which are indicated by the term Shudra here. Once we have understood that these familiar terms of that age are borrowed by Krishna to indicate special types of mind-intellect equipments, we have understood the stanza rightly without pulling down the entire Gita from its well-merited dignity as a scripture of man.
So, anybody has any doubt now what Krishna Bhagavan is trying to say over here after doing so much, right? So now we feel more like, okay, now I understand what it is. Okay.
The verse promises that through constant remembrance of the Lord, not only all men of evil ways are redeemed, but even those who are not walking the path divine because of some psychological and intellectual debilities in them will be cured and steadily strengthened to walk the path efficiently if they too, with single pointed mind and through devotion, learn to remember continuously and meditate daily upon the divine self.
So this we know, right? That we all have the reason that we are kind of trying to study Gita, understand the path and all that, because we also have some mental disabilities, right? Already अगर हम पहुंचे हुए होते तो हमको जरूरत क्या थी? Like Swami ji used to say that जो एकदम tamasic है ना, जिसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा, उसके लिए भी गीता नहीं है, और जो पहुंच चुका है आगे सेल्फ उसके लिए भी नहीं है, हमारे जैसे लोगों के लिए बीच में जो पड़े हुए हैं, न इधर के न उधर के, वी आर ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड. So he's saying that yes, we have some remedy, and all the spiritual practices that we see, it is to purify our mind only. Even when we go to this Hare Krishna, their remedy is you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, because that will cleanse your mind. If you are stressed, you are this, and so many young people come over there and they swear by it now, that I had this problem, that problem, and I'm feeling much better. So there is some psychology, something, the rhythm, and there is some power in the sound, and you have a little bhakti. The mixture of all these little things will purify your mind. So that's what he's saying, that even if we have some psychological issues, that I cannot do this. Like shuru mein lagta na ki I cannot even sit for 5 minutes. I close my eyes and I feel scared. I want to open it. Whatever. Everybody has gone through certain things, but with practice, with understanding, with all the things told by all the Rishi Munis and all, we progress. So that's exactly what he's saying.
Born out of the womb of sin, pap yonaha, this term qualifying women, traders, and workers would be a blasphemous calumny against at least a majority of mankind, which is an unpardonable crime, even if the statement comes from the divine mouth of a prophet. And yet, without blindly accepting the mere dictionary meaning of the word, if we try to understand the philosophical import of the term, we shall find therein an irreplaceable phrase which has summarized in itself volumes of beliefs according to Vedanta. And also, this term qualifying the women, the Vaishyas and the Shudras, shall provide us with a confirmation that our interpretation of these words as denoting the qualities of the mind is fair.
So I'm sure that this word papayona had upset many people. Because the moment we heard pap, we think that, oh my God, मैं तो पाप वाप नहीं करती हूँ, because it sounds so negative. But, like our teacher used to say, in the adhyatmic point of view, pap is nothing but when you are getting away from God. You are just going too much into the world. That's what in the Vedantic term it is called. So then we have to take the word pap also in a very correct meaning, then only we'll understand, and not just what the meaning is in the world, the language, how we use pap and all that. It sounds like sab log darte hai ye word se, So we'll see the next paragraph. How is he explained pap?
Sin, according to Vedanta, is a wrong tendency in the mind created out of the past unhealthy thoughts and negative living. These wrong channels of thought irresistibly drive man to live false values and bring about confusion and chaos into his own life as well as into the lives of others. It is these wrong tendencies plowed on the mental fields that are the sources of the feminine nature of the mind.
Stritvam.
Or the commercial attitude of the intellect, Veshvatvam, or the general dullness and slumberous morbidity in one's inner life, Shudratam. A dull-witted Pandit alone will have the necessary audacity to commit the calamitous folly of interpreting this stanza, adhering faithfully to the mere word meaning, conveniently forgetting Sri Krishna's own definition of varnashram.
That's how you say varnashram dharma.
Sorry. Krishna's own definition of varnashram dharma given previously in his discourses.
I think Swamiji is so passionate about, and he is just want us to understand it. So basically all he's saying is that when we talk about pap, yoni, things like that, pap is nothing but, you are doing some wrong things right now in your life. Where it is coming from your previous actions, because your impressions are there, So somewhere, some contamination has happened in our mind and now our actions are going in the wrong direction. Usko bola hai. So, all of us are kind of have that problem here, there's, so he's just not targeting just these people. He's trying to make us understand what it is so we can work on ourselves. That's how I would take it. 100%, that he just, sometimes the languages and how you explain somebody have limitation. And even in the world this happens, right? You are trying to explain to somebody and they get so offended. Hey, why did you say that? I didn't mean to say that. But I'm just trying to explain. See, it happens to us also. There are people. And, if they misunderstand and they want to drop studying Gita, then that is their problem. What can you do? Maybe someday they will wake up and come back. So, but at least we need to try to understand it in the correct way.
In short, when these wrong tendencies are in the mind, the rishis had declared in sheer kindness that it is useless for that mind to undertake a study of the Vedas, and therefore it was debarred from doing so. To attain the necessary qualification for a successful study of the sacred lore, the prescription is sadhana. Of all the spiritual practices, sadhana, the most efficient and salutary effort, is the constant remembrance of the Lord with a heart flowing in love and devotion, upasana. It is the declaration of Vedanta that through upasana, the mind gets purified of its debilities, which were classified and indicated by the terms women, traders, and workers.
Yeah, so you saw that what he's saying, so that the remedy is given, and we saw that constant remembrance. Swamiji gave such a beautiful example. Remember that, like a moth ball in a closet or that blue light on the street, it gives tinge of blueness to everything. Same way, the remembrance, it will purify your mind. Then you will not get caught up into small pinpricks of life and criticism and this and that. You will have more free time to think about. Otherwise, you get sucked into the world, with wrong thinking and all that. So that's what he's trying to get us. That Krishna Bhagavan is saying that out of all the different sadhanas, this is the simplest practice. And you have heard it many times that in Kali Yuga, they say Nam Smaran. The Nam Smaran is not mechanical talking, saying, but with some bhav, with some devotion, try to understand who God is and doing. That's why all this japa, chanting and all that helps us. That's one way of doing it. But what, Swamiji is saying that then you learn to constantly have that little corner of your heart, Bhagwan ko bitha diya wahan pe, then you will be always doing right things in your life and all this. All that we have to put it together.
When once these negative qualities have been removed from a given mind, it gains in its powers of concentration, single-pointedness and balance for its flight to the very horizon of thought. When once the equipment is ready and it is rigged for the pilgrimage, the destination will soon be reached, and therefore Krishna promises even they attain the supreme goal.
So he's telling you that what will happen if you, do the proper sadhana, remembering God, that it will power of achieving concentration, which is required to go progress in the spiritual path, single pointedness and balance. Nindo upar niche jata rahe mind like a yo-yo, it won't be able to do anything. You need a balance of mind. So I think that he put the whole thing together, and उन्होंने इतना हैमर किया कि इस ये वाली कमेंट्री पढ़ने के बाद अगर कोई उसको गलत समझे तो भगवान ही बचाए उसको. I don't know what you think.
I think he's done a very good job.
Yes.
Of explaining it.
Yeah. And sometimes I think that, in these, all of that, Ramayana has it, even Valmiki Ramayana has one or two verses that people get very, hyper and all that about it. वो ऐसे नास्तिक लोगों के लिए डाल दिया कि अगर ठीक है तुमको इसको छोड़ के निकल जाओ. Let other people try to understand. तुम्हारे लिए नहीं है ये. थोड़ा सा कोई क्रिटिसिज्म अगर नहीं है, टॉलरेट कर सके तो फिर वो क्या करेगा. Most of these swamis and all, they are pretty, like, what should I say? They will say what is right. They're not going to worry about how you feel. Because their purpose is, to tell you the truth.
I think that जिस जमाने में ये लिखी गई है, रामायण है या महाभारत की कहानी है या जो भी है, तो विमेन जो थी वो मतलब थोड़ा उतना नहीं थी जैसे मेन थे. इक्वालिटी तो यहाँ भी जैसे आप बता रहे हो वेस्ट में भी बहुत बाद में आई है.
Exactly.
And similarly, I think what they mean by Shudra and all that are, I think, blue collar workers जिसको बोलते हैं कि जो इंटेलेक्ट इतना नहीं लगाते हैं, मैन्युअली बहुत अच्छा काम करते हैं, ऐसी बात नहीं है. लेकिन तो बेसिकली what he's trying to say is कि अपने माइंड को ओपन करने वाले लोगों की बात कर रहे हैं वो. वो कह रहे हैं कि अगर ये जो वैसे डेली लाइफ में भी अपने काम में भी माइंड इतना इंटेलेक्ट नहीं लगाते हैं, वो भी अगर अपने माइंड को खोलेंगे तो उनको भी भगवान मिल जाएंगे.
बिल्कुल.
That is the point.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yes.
So it's not trying to put down any particular sect of society. I think it is just trying to explain that anybody who is usually not capable of using their intellectual capabilities can also attain God if they become open to that idea and start practicing this path.
Yes.
I think basically, मुझे तो ये समझ में आया.
नहीं, बहुत अच्छे से समझ में आया. That's exactly what it is. But उन्होंने different ढंग से बोला. But बिल्कुल वही कहा.
उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से explain भी किया है.
Yeah. So, but you.
वो एक point को लेकर के उन्होंने detail में. This is basically what I think he has tried to say.
Absolutely. Or because it is a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna Bhagwan, so you will see the next words he's saying कि अगर ये लोग भी कर सकते हैं तो फिर तू तो बिल्कुल आराम से कर सकता है. तेरे को तो कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं होनी चाहिए. Because वो बैठ गया ना पीछे कि I don't want to fight this and all. So he's trying to just encourage him like a friend, like a parent, like a guru, all role he's taking, So.
And Maji, actually, this is a message to all of us. We have no excuse.
There you go. That's exactly right. कि भाई मेरे को ये डिसएडवांटेज है, मेरे को वो कोई बोलेगा कि मुझे तो ना काम करना है, हाउ कैन आई सिट एंड भजन. तो कृष्ण भगवान ने बोल दिया काम को ही पूजा बना लो, जरूरत क्या है तुमको कुछ अलग करने की. मतलब उन्होंने हर एक चीज सॉल्व कर दी हमारी. कि you don't have to do anything, you don't need to change your profession, you just have to cleanse your mind, and that can be done while doing your worldly stuff. And Meera ji said that even if you have some disadvantage, but if you have an open mind and if Bhagwan is saying that, so we have to believe him that it can be done. And then in historical perspective, we have so many. Somebody like Kali Das, who was so much attached to his wife or Tulsi Das ji and all that. So many stories we have, right? All that attachments they have, they broke it. And the other, people, in this probably last 400-500 years also, Kabir Das ji, Julahe the, and he didn't go to any formal school, but unke jo dohe hain, PhD करते लोग उनके ऊपर, बोला कि वो he must be, उनको उन दिनों अनपढ़ बोला गया होगा. And even Vivekanand ji's guru, Ramakrishna Paramhans, he didn't go to any formal school and all, but he was totally self-realized, and उन्होंने विवेकानंद जैसे को खड़ा कर दिया, So all of that proves it, that anyone can attend. There's like I love the way Nikhilanand ji explained कि अपने घर जाने के लिए कोई qualification की जरूरत नहीं, अपने माँ बाप के पास जाने के लिए कोई they will accept you no matter what you have done, who you are. We can all identify with that, but we are parents too, right? So that's what it is. So if you take it in the right context, it's a beautiful verse, I think. If you take it in the right context.
एक बहुत आसान बात है. If you are going in the wrong direction, you will never reach your destination. But if you change your direction, eventually you will make it.
Absolutely. थोड़ा धीरे धीरे भी पहुंच चलेंगे. And sometimes they say, that वो कहानी है ना, वो कछुए की और खरगोश की, that how the one who is steadily walking will reach, and अगर थोड़ा अभिमान आ जाए, ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए, तो वहीं सो जाएगा वो. So चलते चलो. तभी तो एक वो भजन भी है ना, काम करते चलो, नाम जपते चलो. So that's what he's saying. Yeah. Any other comment?
सबसे बड़ी बात एक ये है कि once you give up the fruits of action, then you will not do anything wrong.
Yep. Yeah. So all these, I think कृष्ण भगवान ने इतनी सारी रेमेडीज बताई, इतना encourage किया है कि after learning all that, if we don't do it, then it's our fault. He gave us everything. He tried to clear every doubt that there could be, possibly.
I think वही जो वैश्य मेंटालिटी उन्होंने कही है, I think वो गिविंग अप फ्रूट्स ऑफ एक्शन की बात कर रहे हैं. और वो स्वामी जी ने भी यही अपनी कमेंटरी में कहा है कि बेसिकली अगर आप लेट्स से कि दुकान खोल के बैठे हुए हैं और कोई ग्राहक आता है, तो आप उसको कुछ देते हैं, तो बदले में आपको पैसे देगा, तो आप हिसाब रखते हैं, मैंने ये दिया, उसने ये दिया. लेकिन गिविंग अप योर एनी दिस थिंग कि हमको अपने जो हम डीड्स अच्छे कर्म कर रहे हैं उसके बदले में हमको क्या मिलेगा, उसको गिव अप कर देना इज लाइक गिविंग अप वो वैश्य मेंटालिटी. नहीं तो लाइफ में भी यही होता है, हमने ये अच्छा काम किया है, हमें इसका क्या फल मिलने वाला है, हमने तो इतनी मेहनत करी है, हमें एग्जाम में कितने नंबर मिलेंगे, या कोई भी चीज करते हैं हम तो सोचते हैं कि बदले में हमें क्या मिलेगा. वो वैश्य मेंटालिटी ही हो गई एक तरीके से. आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू कन्वे.
एब्सोल्युटली.
किसी उसको नहीं डाउन कर रहे हैं. आई थिंक दैट इज
इसको नहीं. और like if somebody is doing a business in the world trying to earn money, that वैश्य क्या बोलते हैं प्रवृत्ति is okay, but don't drag that into your spiritual world. It will not work. Right. So even that we have to. नहीं तो बोला वो भगवान ने बोला है तो फिर इसका मतलब कि मैं सोचूं ही नहीं कि इसमें मेरा फायदा. That's not what he's trying to say. But there is a one thing of व्यवहार in the world, उसकी भी लिमिट होती है. And then even we know that the good businessman is the one who learns to give a little more than customer come back. If you think about it, nowadays they use all the Gita principles. They call it, management principles and all that. Some people, because there is a whole management principle is there. All those verses are there. Whatever Shreshth Purush do, other people follow that. जैसे कि कोई लीडर्स होते हैं, अगर वो बुरा काम करने लगे ना तो यूथ ऑफ द कंट्री इज गोइंग डाउन द ड्रेन बिकॉज दे फॉलो. जब वो कर रहा है मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता. इवन पेरेंट्स, लाइक देयर वाज अ इंसिडेंट व्हेन वन मदर केम एंड टोल्ड स्वामी जी हाउ डू आई फिक्स माई चाइल्ड. कुछ गलत काम कर रहा होगा टीनेज वगैरह, तो यू नो व्हाट ही सेड, यू डोंट नीड टू फिक्स योर चाइल्ड, जस्ट गो फिक्स योरसेल्फ, यू विल गेट फिक्स्ड. बिकॉज दे काइंड ऑफ कॉपी यू. टेम्पररली भी अगर वो गलत इधर उधर जाएंगे ना, एंड में वो दे कम बैक बिकॉज दे काइंड ऑफ वांट टू फॉलो व्हाट यू हैव डन. एंड सो दे यूज्ड टू ऑलवेज से दैट, एंड देयर इज अ वर्स इन भगवद गीता आल्सो, दैट पीपल नॉट do what you say but do what you do. Just verbally, if you say, oh, अच्छे बनो ये बनो, वो नहीं कुछ होता है. लेकिन how you conduct, that has a better and bigger influence on the people who are, looking up to you. Yeah. What you do is more important, not what you say. So many things are there, and each verse is connected so much with the other ones, right? So, any other comment, question?
So, Umaji, I guess mine is very, very basic, ignorant question. I'm
okay.
just trying to understand when we say attain God or attain the supreme goal, is it a universal standard fact, or is it your personal what you are trying to attain?
Okay, so
is it how do you interpret? Like for me, I'm thinking about attaining a constant state of bliss without judgment, without negativity. Is there a universal truth, or is it your personal quest as to what it means to attain a supreme goal?
Okay, it is something like this. The truth can be only one, right?
Yes.
So whether you are whatever religion you are, or whoever, whichever part of cosmos you live, whether you live on Earth or some other planet, it cannot be anything different, right?
Right.
So the ultimate truth is the same. And that is, that through the Bhagavat Geeta and through our Upanishads, we have learned that there is that one consciousness, and then how it becomes the world and things like that. So that has to be, that truth has to be one. That's why it's called the truth. Now, when it comes to personal thing, how do I attain that? It has to be my personal journey. So but your answer lies in both aspects of it. Personal, because there is some truth somewhere, but if I don't experience, तो मेरे को फायदा क्या? Anybody can say anything. So spiritual journey is absolute personal journey, but the paths can be different, the approach can be different, but the goal has to be the same. So everybody who reaches that final destination have the same experience of the bliss, but how they express it back to the world, again, there'll be difference. Because he's still he has the mind, and also the way he's going to tell, it's going to be different. That's all it is. But it's something like, I suppose somebody has never eaten a rasgulla and I eat it. There are two people who have never eaten a rasgulla. Let's look at it this way. But finally they eat it. How they will explain how a rasgulla is going to be different. Right? And then the other thing is that in my personal journey, what problem I have, only I know. I cannot pretend. I can pretend to the world that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But within myself, if I am very true to myself, I will know. These are my problems. So I think that when it comes to spiritual sadhana, it becomes a personal journey. I cannot copy anyone. Somebody, they do meditation or sit quietly, that quietens their mind, purifies. Some people do japa, some people do karma yoga, some people do ashtanga yoga, whatever suits you. And then you have to see within yourself what is helping me. But so that's what it is. The truth is one, but we are trying to comprehend that truth by different commentaries, different things. If any scripture you pick up, if you pick up Ramayana, the whole Atma Gyan is in Ramayana also. There are many places it is there, And whether you take Bhagavatam, entire thing is there in a different way. Gita, it's there. Valmiki Ramayana, it's there. But everybody likes different things, So you have to truth is one. And the people, it's something like this. Once they reach to that state, they are in a different league, and then they understand each other. But how you go, thousands, millions of ways probably. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, I answered it really. That you said, attaining spirituality is a personal journey. How you go about it, but in the end is the oneness with the universe.
Yes, exactly.
The Brahman.
Yeah.
That's the goal we are trying to reach.
Yeah.
But I really love that paragraph where Gita, the universal scripture, which addresses itself always not to a community,
right,
but to man in general, which is like Sanatan Dharma. It's not discriminating between any religion or any
Not at all.
all human beings. It's very beautifully written.
It's addressing to and that's why they said that the reason it's called Sanatan Dharma, because these are eternal truths that nobody can deny it. It's like they're talking about the mind, and the mind also operates the same way, whether you were born 5,000 years ago or you're born now. All the negativity and all that, and until you remove all those laws apply there also. So that's why it's a universal thing. It's not addressed to any particular sect at all. So the people who divide and fight, they have not studied their own religion properly. It's so simple as that. If you misunderstand, you are going to be fanatic, you are going to be fighting, you're going to be doing all that. My God is better than yours. It's like a joke, right? When you learn that God is one. It's like two children saying, my father is better than yours. How can it be? You have the same father. It's like a joke. But that's what they do. And even Hinduism, maybe unhone kuch divide kar diya. Shaivism and, it's fine. You can approach through the Shiva. There's no problem if that's what you like. You cannot say that Vishnu is something less.
Yes.
That's the problem, It's the same entity just coming to you as a Shiva or Vishnu. Whichever one you want to take, The tolerance comes too. I think the more you understand Bhagavad Gita, you will be so tolerant of people. That thought will not only come in your mind about dividing. That's what somebody was saying, that religion is supposed to unite. So if it is dividing, it's not a religion anymore. And they have another famous saying that spirituality is a goal, religion is just a vehicle.
Yeah, that's right? Beautiful.
Yeah, that you can take whichever suits you. And if you are born in a certain family that has a certain tradition, obviously that's the easiest for you to follow. And God has put you in that situation too. So maybe God thinks that this is right for you. That's the argument one time I gave. Somebody walked into how they don't do in California that much. But in Texas, all these people were coming, evangelists kind of, I don't know what they are called. Missionaries.
The Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah, they all, which is fine. I don't mind. Let them come.
Jehovah's Witness and all of those people.
They come and try to, and then they say, oh, you should do this. I said, you think their God is powerful, right? Yes. God knows everything. So then if God has put me in a particular family in a particular country, then God knows what is best for me. He had no answer about that. So why should I change? That means I'm insulting my own God. Oh, God didn't know where to put me. He should have made me a Muslim or a Christian, and now he made me a Hindu. No, God knows that maybe this is the right path for me. That's why he put me in that family. So anyway, yeah. Okay, I'm going to close Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhya mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.